Join me tonight in the prayer. O God, Creator and our Lord of our city, as well as of our individual lives, we humbly acknowledge your interest and your presence at this council meeting tonight. Before we begin our business, we deliberately open our minds and spirits to your holy will. Help us to be worthy of the trust of the citizens of Alliance have placed in us. Guide us in each decision we make, that it might be as fair and just as it is economically sound, to the end that our community may achieve its highest potential and become all we want it to be. Amen. Join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the public's reference, a copy of the open meetings law has been posted on the northeast corner of this room in the audience area. This posting complies with the requirements of the Nebraska legislation.
The first item on the agenda is a proclamation for Arbor Day, and I will go ahead and read that. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can be a solution to combat climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitats for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas the City of Alliance has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting ways. Now therefore, the City Council of Alliance, Nebraska does hereby proclaim Friday, April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day. In the City of Alliance, Nebraska, I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the hearts and promote the well-being of present and future generations.
Tonight's second proclamation is Frontline Workers Month.
Yeah, do you see anybody here? Yeah, I'd have Chief Levitt come out. He's representing
great.
frontline workers, and anyone else that want to represent frontline workers, EMT, fire, police.
EMT, fire, police, first responders.
Speak.
I think I talked, maybe. Thank you very much. Whereas frontline workers are the builders of our...
You say video on. I thought it was on this.
There we go. Whereas frontline workers are the builders of our community, exercising curiosity, compassion, courage, and creativity to provide essential services that ensure the safety, health, and education of our residents. And whereas over 9 million healthcare workers across the United States serve in hospitals, clinics, long-term care facilities, often placing themselves at risk to provide life-saving care. And whereas firefighters respond to an estimated 36 million emergency calls each year, over 800,000 sworn law enforcement officers nationwide work tirelessly to uphold the law and ensure public safety. The Emergency Medical Services, EMS, personnel respond to more than 240 million calls annually. And whereas teachers dedicate their careers to shaping the future of our communities, with over 3.7 million educators in the U.S., providing knowledge and guidance to our youth. And whereas frontline workers embody the essence of builders, flexible thinkers, constructive problem solvers who respect the dignity of all people by dedicating themselves to overcoming challenges and uniting communities. Now therefore, the City Council of Alliance, Nebraska does hereby proclaim the month of May as Frontline Worker Appreciation Month. In the City of Alliance, Nebraska, we encourage the residents to join in recognizing and honoring their heroic contributions to the healthcare workers, firefighters, law enforcement officials, EMS personnel, and teachers.
That's yours.
Is there anyone here to accept the Daycare Provider Appreciation Day?
I see it.
Thank you, ma'am. This is a proclamation for the Providers Appreciation Day. Whereas childcare has provided a safe, nurturing place for the enrichment and development of millions of children nationwide and is a vital force in our economy. And whereas the pandemic illuminated how indispensable childcare providers are for the well-being and economic security of the City of Alliance's young children, families, and communities. And whereas child care programs, which are mostly small businesses, run and staffed predominantly by women, continue to recover from the health and financial hardships stemming from the pandemic to meet the needs of more families. And whereas the City of Alliance recognizes that child care has been and continues to be a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy. As such, it has provided much needed support for providers to help sustain the viability of child care, and whereas the future depends on the quality of the early childhood experience provided to young children today. Support for high-quality child care represents a worthy commitment to our children's futures. Now, therefore, the City Council of Alliance, Nebraska does hereby proclaim Friday, May 9th, 2025 as Provider Appreciation Day. In the City of Alliance, Nebraska, we urge all citizens to recognize child care providers for their important work and how valuable they are for our community.
Can you look over here, please? Thank you.
It's up to me. Is anybody here from public transit? Excuse me, public transit? They're all, okay. Whereas public transit provides our citizens access to medical, business, employment, social, and supportive services. And whereas public transit allows individuals to remain independent, contributes to economic development, reduces traffic congestion, decreases emissions, and improves mobility. And whereas public transit provides the only public transportation service to many of the smaller towns and rural counties in Nebraska. And whereas Alliance has numerous public transit professionals who provide service to our citizens and must maintain educational requirements and standards. And whereas the Alliance City Council recognizes the important role that public transit professionals play and wishes to acknowledge that role. And whereas public transportation in Alliance is provided by the collaborative efforts of the City of Alliance, Nebraska Department of Transportation, and Federal Transit Administration to provide resources to transport individuals every day. Now therefore, the City Council of Alliance, Nebraska does here proclaim the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2025 as Public Transit Week. In the City of Alliance, Nebraska, encourage all citizens to increase their understanding and awareness of their local transit system and any services provided. How about volunteers? Do we have any volunteers in the crowd? Randy, you're a volunteer. Oh, great. That's a good one. Very impressive. Thank you for reading. Yeah. Whereas the Citizens of Alliance Nebraska are deeply enriched by the countless acts of service and dedication of its many volunteers. And whereas volunteers play a vital role in strengthening our community, addressing social needs, and improving the quality of life for all residents. And whereas Box Butte County RSVP has organized senior volunteers for over 50 years, and now the Volunteer Youth Alliance has begun organizing youth volunteers to also meet needs of nonprofit organizations within the county. Whereas National Volunteer Week, which is April 20th through 26th, 2025, provides an opportunity to celebrate and honor the contributions of volunteers across our nation and in our community. And whereas we recognize the importance of volunteerism in fostering civic engagement, promoting social responsibility, and building a stronger, more vibrant City of Alliance and Box Butte County, now therefore the City Council of Alliance, Nebraska does hereby proclaim the week of April 20th through April 26, 2025 as a National Volunteer Week. In the City of Alliance, Nebraska, and we encourage all residents to participate in volunteer activities and to support the efforts of our local organizations and nonprofit agencies.
Can I get a picture in front of the podium? The podium's right in front of you. Can I get a picture in front of the podium? If you guys can come in front of it, the podium's blocking you guys. Take away from the focus.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who's that kid?
Tonight's consent calendar includes the approval of minutes, payroll claims, and council proceedings. Resolution number 2546, library surplus shelving. Resolution number 2547, public safety radio support purchase. Resolution number 25-48, interdepartmental loan from electric fund to refuge fund. Resolution number 25-49, APD wing MOU, which is Memorandum of Understanding Agreement, and resolution number 25-50, City of Alliance Micro TIF. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Chief, I have a question on 2549. Do you have a copy of it?
You can have
I
mine.
knew you would ask, so I memorized it.
You can have mine, Chief. I read it.
Number 3 and number 5 seem to be, can you explain? It says reimburse the salary expenses and overtime, and then number 5, it says,
Go ahead.
will, subject to availability of funds, reimburse the APD for a percentage of the overtime. So do we know why those are in conflict? Is it?
So basically, Wing has applied for a salary reimbursement grant through Scottsbluff County. So Scottsbluff County is where Wing sits. So Scottsbluff County is who applies for the grant. Scottsbluff County is who is awarded the grant. Our officers who are working on Wing are reimbursed through Scottsbluff County as a result of this grant, subject to if we get the grant and if the funds are available and the overtime they work would be reimbursed.
Okay, well, it says overtime, and then it says percentage, so can you just pull that till we get a little clarification? It's not worded.
I'm not understanding the verse.
Do you have the in front of you?
No, I have
Chief,
the,
I didn't have this one. This is right.
Yeah.
She was talking about me.
Which one is it, number 3?
3 and 5.
So number 3 is what I just talked about.
Yep.
Sheriff's officer will reimburse us for salary expenses and overtime for the officers that are assigned to wing. Number 5, AD will remain responsible for salaries and benefits.
It's the last part of that sentence. First,
So depending on the overall, the grant, we requested $150,000. They may only get 50. So if they have to divide it up through the year, they may agree that we can only afford to pay, reimburse for half of the overtime, 25% of the overtime. So it's all subject to how much grant money we're actually awarded.
And is Alliance PD a separate award, or is it all of the agencies that participate?
So the award goes to the Scottsbluff County Sheriff's Office.
And if it's 50,000 total,
It says if it's 50,000 total, that money would be divvied up to reimburse for overtime, not just for Scottsbluff County's officers they have on the wing team, but for all the participating agencies from the 11 counties. And the percentage comes into play where if we have a total of $200,000 in overtime, but the grant only ends up being 50, then obviously they wouldn't be able to reimburse for 100,000 or 100% of the overtime. Does that help?
and it's just strictly the overtime wages, not the regular salary, is that right? It's just strictly the overtime?
It's any overtime they work for wing.
Okay,
Because they'll work full-time for us, so any work they do for Wing would be on as an overtime.
Correct. They'll work full-time hours with us, and then when they're working for wing, we've submitted with the grant, we actually have to submit each officer on the team's rate at time and a half. So they would have that for calculation purposes.
and how many do we currently have on wing here in town?
One,
Is that Sergeant Libby?
that is Officer Dahlberg.
Are we comfortable then? I mean, we just have to understand that we only get reimbursed a portion of the overtime depending on what the grant funds are.
Where does it need to be 3?
Different. John, do you see a conflict in those two?
No, I mean, I think that as long as we understand it, we might.
As long as you don't see a conflict.
If the expectation is you get full reimbursement, obviously, don't revise this, but the understanding is that you may only get a percentage that
Yeah, well, we've actually had the discussion, how much overtime we're able to commit to wing may depend on the amount of the grant and how much they're able to reimburse, because we do have limits on what we can authorize as far as overtime goes. And I'm pretty much within my parameters for my overtime budget. I'd like to stay that way as much as possible.
We would too.
That was my next question, if this was gonna affect your budget, if we ran over, or if you had allocated enough overtime.
We have allocated enough overtime, I think, but it's likely we would run over because there might be a lapse in getting reimbursed for that overtime, number one. But number two, with 7 vacancies in the department authorized for 19, I'm not gonna feel that bad if I go over on overtime because we're literally doing the work of 19 full-time positions with 12.
Are you comfortable with that then?
Yes, I'm comfortable then, I just wanted.
Yeah, I've worked with them before, running invoicing, so it's good.
You know how it works.
All right.
Anybody have any questions about this one before I give it back?
I do have a question on your other one, for the repeater, or for the radio.
Yes, sir.
With the current federal funding situation, I see we're asking Adrian Smith's office for 1.2 million for the repeater. Will these radios work without them?
Yes. So we've already ordered these radios. In fact, they were supposed to be in by today, if I'm being honest. Not sure they'll be in any time. We're going to use these radios with the FirstNet system that uses the cell phone towers, but for the sake of redundancy and for the sake of reliability, it will be much better to have a repeater in town. For the main 2 reasons are if cell towers should go down, that's going to affect our coverage, number 1. And number 2, with a repeater side, you're going to get better coverage inside of buildings and things like that. However, I will will mention that the sheriff's department has been using the same radios for at least over a year now, and they've had zero issues other than occasionally a dead spot inside of the building. So,
I would assume you guys take priority on the cell service anyways.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
No, but there are 4 other places that you might look for grant money, with regard to repeaters, so I'll email that to you. I'm sure you looked at all of them, but there's Homeland Security, the Nebraska Wireless Commission, NREN, and possibly Region 21 Emergency Management.
Right. And then they all have grant funds available, but they pale in comparison to the cost.
Right.
The good thing about Adrian Smith's office being willing to help us out, I've had some really positive conversations with him and with his staff. He's literally been looking for a project to do in the Western Panhandle because he feels like the Western Panhandle's been overlooked. And we are right now sitting at the very top of his list for fiscal year 26. So I'm told that we're in great shape to get this assistance in getting this repeater. But I would caution you that Wayne just lost $150,000 from some money that Senator Fisher had told us was a sure thing, because at the last minute, it was cut at the federal level. So the way things are right now, I'm not gonna count my chickens.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Yes, sir. And then we have the resolution 2550, which is about micro-TIF. Seth, do you want to give a little explanation on micro-TIF and how that is going to be helpful?
Yes, so micro-TIF is a micro tax increment financing area. So this is typically our blighted and substandard, and blighted and substandard doesn't need to have a negative connotation. By Nebraska law, it just means that it's of a certain age, and the buildings are also of that age. And if you look at Alliance's history, a lot of our buildings are older than the 60 years that's required, and so a lot of Alliance is eligible for this. One of the benefits of micro-TIF, and this was just adopted by the state in the last 3 years, is that it allows for an expedited plan review, which just makes it that much easier to go through. It authorizes the mayor and the clerk to sign that paperwork rather than going through the planning and zoning commission and going through the city council. And these are typically for your smaller projects that normally wouldn't qualify for normal tax increment. So this would be infill lots, this would be rehabilitation of homes, this would be filling in empty lots that haven't been developed but that have been platted for 60 years. So this is a great opportunity for some infill development, redevelopment in a much faster fashion.
Just to add that this is one of the first steps that the council put housing as one of our priorities. And this is one of the first steps that we're addressing and trying to provide it, make it easier for people to rehabilitate homes or build homes in existing areas in the community. So we're kind of excited to kind of get that ball rolling and hopefully spur some additional activity. Are there any other questions on the consent calendar? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Lichtak?
Yes,
Vice Mayor Mashburn?
Yes,
Councilman Weisgerber?
Abstain.
And Mayor McGee.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is a presentation from Eric Case, who is the construction manager for Sand Hills Electric, and he'll be updating us on the solar field project. Mr. Case? And just state your name and your address when you go.
Meeting Eric Case, 1403 Harding Street, Omaha, Nebraska.
You might speak into the microphone just a little bit better, yeah.
With the microphone shine more like of age, I've become less of a speaker field, so sorry about that. But good afternoon, Mayor, council members. My name is Eric Case. I'm construction manager for Sand Hills Energy. I'm here today to provide an update on the solar project and to express our gratitude for all the help, cooperation, and patience throughout this project. Today, we are pleased to announce that we're 92% done with the project It's nearing completion. We have teams doing final things. We're very excited about the positive impact it will have on the Alliance community. Some highlights are substantial completion should be by April 18th, Friday. We feel like that all the this milestone signifies that the major construction activities are finished and the facility is nearing operational readiness. Today we had an inspection with the Nebraska State Electrical teams. The inspection went great. This is a critical step to ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical infrastructure. CO, commercial operations, on track to be the first 2 weeks of June. Between now and then, there'll be system checks, final commissioning, parameter setting, and then integration with the local grid. That'll all place. That's what kind of takes place between now and going commercial in June. Here at Sand Hills, we deeply appreciate the strong partnership we forged with the City of Alliance throughout the development and construction of this project. Your support and understanding have been invaluable to the project. Thank you very much. In particular, we'd like to extend thank you to the electrical department and Curry Bridges. His collaboration and flexibility in working with our team have been instrumental in navigating the complexities of this project and ensuring a smooth integration to the city's infrastructure. Mr. Bridges' expertise and willingness to find solutions have been truly commendable. As we move forward to the final stages of construction and prepare for commercial operation, Sand Hills remains committed to maintaining open communication with the city. We are confident this solar project will be a valuable asset to your community, providing clean power for years to come. We are excited to reach substantial completion next week and look forward to successful commercial operation on solar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hicks? For those who may not be familiar with the solar field, it's located west of town and near the well field. If you're heading out towards the old country club or west side of Event Center, it's just straight ahead of you. As you get out there, you see a sign saying solar field deliveries, but that's where it's located. So it's exciting to see it come to completion.
It's nice. I'm brand new to Sand Hills. There are a lot of pieces coming at me at one time, but it's nice to go out to a project today. It was clean. The inspectors were great to work with, and so it's not always like you on board like that, and you come to a project that looks this nice. So I understand there's lots of layers to these projects. I've been doing it a long time, but it was really nice to show up today and really be proud kind of day one as I step on out here. So if you have questions, reach out. Like I say, I'm very new to Sand Hills and their portfolio, but I've been doing this for a really long time. So as we move forward, if there's anything, feel free to get a hold of us. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2999, and to move on the second reading before council for the annexation petition from Westco, Durden Ag Chemicals. The petition requests 14.99 acre tract of land in the southwest quarter of section 26, township 25 north, range 48 west of the 6th principal meridian, Foxview County, Nebraska, to be incorporated within the limits of the City of Alliance. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance 2999.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I believe Mr. Briggs is here from Westco. If you have some comments to make, please.
So, good evening, council. I'm David Briggs, I'm the CEO of Westco, and we encourage your support of this, approve of this. So annexation. I was hoping we could wait a second hearing, but I guess we can't, so we'll have another hearing probably next week. And but they're very happy with how we've developed the west side of Alliance. Remember a couple of years ago, we had a major fire, and the fire department did a great job helping us with that. That was kind of the impetus to move to the west side of town. We owned that property for about 30 years. I actually worked on this project for about 25 years on how I wanted it to look and how I wanted the buildings to look. But every time I got ready to start building, I had something else to build and buy somewhere else, and so we kept going our company. But the insurance company we got from the fire helped us say, let's just go get it done. And so that started with where the tire center is. We started building our new dry fertilizer plants about that direction, and we finished with the last two buildings to where the Nami is. And and this will be our first season of that location. So we're very happy that we invested over $20 million in that facility on the west side of town and increasing to support the annexation. Happy to be here and part of Alliance, been here since 1942. And actually where my office is actually the original location where this business first started in the Alliance Cooperative Association. That time it was called Consumers Cooperative, now it's Alliance Cooperative, now it's West Agro Chemicals is actually one of our companies, and that's actually land, that's why that's things on. Any question, I have to ask, otherwise encourage you to vote in favor of that decision.
Can I just have you state your address, please?
David Briggs, and my address is 724 West First Street.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
On behalf of the council, David, I just want to thank you for the huge investment that Wesco's made, that you've been a valuable asset to the community for those 70 years or 80 years, and this just adds to that. So thank you very much for that tremendous investment. It looks wonderful.
Thank you, David.
Any other discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Vice Mayor Mashburn?
Yes.
Councilman Weisgerber?
Abstain.
Councilman Turman?
Yes.
Councilman Liptak?
Yes.
And Mayor McGee?
Yes. Final item on the agenda is executive session to discuss the city clerk annual review. And I will just point out that the only thing.
Mr. Mayor, I ask that this be open to public. I have no reason for this to be going into open session
Okay,
for my review.
all right. That's your prerogative.
Yep.
So at this time, we'll work on the city clerk's annual review. All right, who would like to go first?
Mayor, does the ordinance need to be read?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Ordinance number 2999, an ordinance of the City of Alliance, Nebraska, annexing real property of Jordan Agra Chemicals, Inc., situated in the southwest quarter of Section 26, Township 25 North, Range 48 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, Fox Butte County, Nebraska, repealing existing provisions of the city code not consistent with this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Sorry I missed that. Okay, at this time, we will begin the city clerk annual review. And anyone like to go first?
Well, I will go. Do you want to come up or do you just want to talk through there, Shelley? Okay.
It doesn't matter.
I just used the evaluation sheet that we sent out, and it covered leadership. And I gave you a plus in that because you work well with the city manager, employees follow your lead, and you do a wonderful job of taking initiative and fixing problems that you find. Your management, I think you've done a good job of helping with the new secretary in the office, managing all the secretaries within the municipal hall. Your accountability, I have always known you to take responsibility for any mistakes that you've made, that you also defend your actions and your positions and decisions that you made, and I do appreciate that when it is needed. And your community engagement, I thank you for your volunteer work. Like today, you just said this was your 14th Easter egg hunt. You are a great asset to the city, and you have saved us millions of dollars, and you have helped clean up many messy projects. So I appreciate you, and I think that you're doing an excellent job. And I don't have any areas of concern at this time.
Thank you.
Chris?
I can go next. Shelby, pretty short term of being in this position, but in that time, you've been impressive in your fiscal responsibilities. Just to name one off the top of my head was taking under the insurance review and getting that all squared away. That was a major undertaking for you, and that's greatly appreciated. So I rank that as a plus. And with that, your initiative is also a plus. You seem to be very motivated and driven in taking on
would like to know what training you took this year, like if you could explain a little bit about your annual training, the trip to Canada and what you learned.
So Canada I got a scholarship for IIMC, which is International Institute of Municipal Clerks. So it is a degree that you get, which is your certificate of municipal clerks and also your master of municipal clerk, which was fully funded through the IIMC besides what my funding was for my hotel and my food, which you go and collab with other clerks throughout internationally and earn your certificate. And then once you earn your certificate through your certificate of municipal clerk, then you move on to get your master's of municipal clerking.
And what would you say your most favorite project of this calendar year has been?
Definitely my insurance.
Project?
Yes, by far. When we come down to it, which I'm still working on, I have been working on this for over 2 years for the city. I have walked through every piece of property that the city of Alliance owns and has. We have had buildings that were not insured, properties that were insured for hundreds of thousands of dollars over what they needed to be insured for, vehicles that were being insured that we didn't even own anymore, and things like that, and which will be presented at the, hopefully tentatively, the May 6th meeting for council to look at. And I'm going through with department heads for that, and we will have a entire booklet with a picture, a property assessment of all the properties, and a layout of all the properties, along with the vehicles and all the equipment that the city owns, over $5,000 that can be shown. And with our previous insurance, our deductible was 3% of our overall costs, which came to be this year, it would have been about over $2 million for our deductible. And with our new insurance company, it is a flat rate of $25,000 per
That's the
occurrence.
hail, that's the hail.
But that is our total cost for if it's hail, if it's occurrence. Now, vehicles are a flat cost of $1,000 deductible, where our last insurance was a tiered deductible, where it started at $15,000 and we worked our way from 15 to 10 to 5.
So that saved the city of Alliance a lot of money.
Thousands,
Okay.
millions.
Yeah, so thank you for that work.
And I'm actually also closing out the hailstorm claims that we had in 2020 and 2021. I had my meeting with NEMA and FEMA yesterday, which I'm still gathering a few documents that were needed that were started previous to me. And we will have a total number of what we spent on that, and I closed that project within a year of getting everything done and the stuff that needed to be done without the city having to pay back all that money in grants.
Thank you for the work.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Shelby, I want to thank you for everything. You're a big asset to all the community, not just the city council, for the work you do and the time that you put into your effort. And usually it's a complete success. I appreciate you, everything you did to get me through this, and I'm sorry about all the BS you went through in the last couple weeks. It was important, and I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Well, I guess Bill last, I guess. And going last, you wind up echoing a lot of things that were already said, but kind of going through in the leadership role, what I've seen within the city is you stepping up and getting people involved within the city to take on projects and to work together as a team, whether that be the city meetings quarterly or the annual meeting that we did in January, or just what you may do on a month-to-month basis. So as far as taking on that leadership role, just within the city amongst the employees, that's noticed and very much appreciated. Leadership for the council. You've been a good resource for me as I continue to learn. Obviously, I forgot to have you read the ordinance again. So you've been a good resource for me and helping me to get a little bit more comfortable in my role. When I have questions, you're available to me and you have answers. And if you don't have them at your fingertips, you get them and you get them to me. So you show a lot of initiative and accountability in your role as the city clerk. I'll echo also your efforts on the insurance side, not only with our new contract with LARM, but the immense amount of work you did in sorting through all of the claims that have been left unattended from 2 hailstorms 4 years ago or 3 years ago, making sure that we didn't lose any money that we could have, we had to, by getting those claims through and working with insurance companies and working with FEMA and whomever it needed. So I'll echo all those efforts that from the other council members, recognizing those efforts that you made to clean that up and get us to the point where we are. With LARM, I think people don't understand how much effort it went into researching LARM to begin with, and then starting the process of working with that company, that agency to provide the insurance for the city and the advantages that are going to accrue to the city as a result of that. So that's also very much appreciated. Again, that's an initiative that you took on to make sure that what you felt the city got the best benefit. No one's perfect. So the one thing I would ask you to do is be a little bit more careful, maybe with typographical errors from time to time in resolutions or ordinances. That happens to everybody, but I guess that if I had one thing to ask you to work on, would be being a little bit more careful with grammatical errors or punctuation in ordinances, so that we can be proud of them when somebody else looks at them down the road. So, other than that, I've been extremely happy with the efforts that you put in and the work that you do for the city.
I would like to comment on Jay's that as a member of council, I apologize for the comments that you have received these last 2 weeks when it was highly inappropriate for a proposal and nothing more than a proposal be released to the public. And I do apologize for the hurtful things that our community has done and said. And I hope that they see the value from all that's been explained here tonight of the job that you do for the city.
Thank you.
And I as well. No one deserved the comments that a city employee received through a lack of information, inadequate information, and then trying to draw conclusions from that. So I'm disappointed.
And I'm very disappointed that it was even given out to anybody.
So, Shelby, do you have any comments you want to make?
I just wanted to point out that I filled our economic development boards that have not been filled in probably 8 years. Also, Seth and I have worked together in filling our CRA board, which has been a huge accomplishment because together we could not have done that. That is a very hard board to fill and to get volunteerism. I also want to say it's great to have a working relationship with the city manager, that we work together, not against each other. And that makes a huge difference. And seeing our employees, it's not even our employees, we're a team. And it's great to see that within the city. And like I have expressed, I've worked for the city for 13 years and I've seen ups and downs within the city. And within the last 3 years, the morale of the employees go up has been tremendous. And that's what matters to me. I'm here because I have passion about my job and passion about the community. And it's not just a job to me. So.
And I recognize that. Anything else?
No.
Anything else?
So what happens next? Do we vote now? What happens?
But there was really no vote. There's really no vote to have.
Or is it you just make a recommendation for an increase or what? I don't know what happens.
We can.
Well, that's why I was curious. It's an annual review, is that right?
Right.
Okay.
You want to make a proposal?
Please ahead and make a proposal
Shelby, when you got your promotion, do you know?
When I started, I was at I don't even know, I started lower, and then once I had my year evaluation, they moved me up to what the city clerk position was supposed to be at, and they did it at the comparable rate of what that was supposed to be, and then I got a bonus with that. So, it was up to council how they get forward with it.
I don't have.
And no action has to be taken tonight, you guys can discuss it and have it as an action item at the next meeting.
That's all right. Yeah, we seem to get a lack of information to.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what step you're supposed to go to.
Yeah. Okay. Right. That's all right, we'll get it working. All right, I guess if I could sum up, I would say, the consensus of the council is a positive review for the city clerk, is that good? All right. With that, is there any comment from the public, since this is an open item, if there's some comment from the public?
I'd like to say.
Please, give your name and address, please.
Not my address.
Yeah, all really hard.
Got it?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
good?
That's good.
Denise Shelcom and my addresses. I like to thank Councilwoman Shelby. I heard that there is some controversy, which I'm not part of that page. So, but Shelby has meant a lot to me through the past 2 years or so. She's helped me through some difficult times as a citizen here in Alliance, and I just feel as a community individual that she has been a great asset to the community from what I've read on her page, because I stalked her this week because I've heard about the conference and I really liked her input on that. But she has been there time and time again for me, and we all know how. So, I like to thank Shelby. So whatever the council does, I know it will be the right thing for the city, because I do know her heart is here, and I am appreciative of that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Randy, any questions?
Okay, with that, meeting's adjourned.